My name's William Jenkins, a 26-year-old with decent looks and a stable job. Sunday mornings are for indulging in a second cup of coffee while perusing the Sunday paper. Today, however, my tranquility was disrupted by a striking image in the paper. It was a large 2-column photo that seemed to captivate my attention entirely. As I gazed at the picture, my mind drifted into a sea of contemplation. It had been 2 years since our paths diverged, yet the sight of her face still stirred a pang of ache within me. Who could evoke such a visceral reaction from me, you might wonder? Well, that's a tale worth telling. Back when I was 23, I found myself living and working in a quaint college town adorned with 4 educational institutions. Among them were 2 all-girls colleges, a state university, and a sizable business college. It was a landscape teeming with vibrant youth, what some might aptly dub a target-rich environment. Among my circle was Stephen, a close friend navigating the intermission between semesters while toiling away at our workplace to fund his education. He, too, was a fraternity brother at the state school. Together, Stephen and I often played the role of each other's wingmen on countless escapades. Our objective was clear: to indulge in intimate encounters with as many of the young women as possible. With our skills finely honed, our targets rarely eluded us. Stephen and I found ourselves at a lively sorority mixer, reveling in the atmosphere of free-flowing alcohol, complimentary snacks, and a plethora of coeds. Engaging in what could only be described as a scouting mission, I scanned the room to identify the fortunate candidate for the evening. During that phase of my life, I must admit, I possessed a rather inflated ego. In my mind, I was the epitome of charm, a veritable deity's gift to women. With my suave demeanor, attractive appearance, and self-assured attitude, I found success with many of the college girls. Yet, sincerity and depth in relationships were lacking in my character at that time. But back then, such shallowness seemed acceptable to me. I had my sights set on a promising prospect, a cute, petite redhead, when Stephen intervened, redirecting my attention towards a group of girls on the outskirts of the party. They'd observed the festivities from a distance, not fully engaging in the revelry. Among them stood a striking example of the quintessential college code, Liana Morris. She exuded an air of poise, dressed impeccably, possessed a desirable figure, and boasted a captivatingly beautiful face. Curious, I inquired about her identity. "That's Liana Morris," Stephen informed me. "She's off-limits, attends Williams College, and rumor has it, she never repeats a date. The few guys who've taken her out swear she's either gay or as cold as ice. None have even made it to holding hands, and you won't either." "She's not gay," I countered. "Observe how she eyes the men passing by. She's definitely checking them out. I think she's just cautious and discerning. She won't easily commit to just any guy." "Wow, Dr. Phil, you've got her all figured out without even exchanging a word," Stephen teased. "You're quite the mind reader, aren't you? Or maybe just full of it. Know any of the other girls in her group?" "The blonde is Monica Robinson. She's a fellow student at like me. We had a few classes together," Stephen replied. "Went on a couple of dates, but there wasn't much chemistry, so we decided to stay friends." "Why do you ask?" "I'm going to prove Liana isn't what people think. Your job is to introduce me to Monica. I'll handle the rest." "Okay, but you're setting yourself up for disappointment, William," Stephen cautioned as we approached the group. Engaging in pleasantries, Stephen greeted Monica, initiating a brief conversation before introducing me. I exchanged greetings with Monica and the other girls, though my attention lingered everywhere but on Liana. Despite being part of the group, she seemed conspicuously ignored by me. Even when she spoke, I barely acknowledged her, swiftly diverting the conversation back to Monica and the others. For instance, when Liana mentioned attending Williams, I merely nodded and refocused on chatting with Monica and company, leaving her unacknowledged. It was evident she was growing increasingly irritated by my disregard. As we bid farewell to the group and began our journey home, Stephen couldn't hide his disbelief. "You've certainly made an impression on Liana," he remarked. shaking his head, ignoring her completely and cutting her off whenever she tried to join the conversation. I see your plan. You're banking on making her so frustrated that she'll date you just to gain your attention. Brilliant strategy. Oh, ye of little faith. My plan is unfolding just as intended, I countered confidently. Every guy Liana encounters showers her with compliments and attempts to make advances. She's not accustomed to being disregarded. This will pique her interest. Liana will start wondering, why isn't this guy pursuing me? What's wrong with me? She won't be able to resist. Eventually, she'll come after me. It's foolproof, I confidently asserted to Stephen. Stephen chuckled at my optimism before offering a simple, good luck. Could you do me a favor? Find out more about her for me. Where she eats, grabs coffee, shops, anything you can gather. Will you help? I requested. Of course, buddy. I'll gather intel from some of the sorority sisters and have it for you in a couple of days, Stephen replied. Grateful for his assistance, I headed home. 2 days later, Stephen provided me with a comprehensive report on Liana's whereabouts and habits, allowing me to set my plan in motion. Starting the following evening, and every available moment thereafter, I strategically positioned myself wherever she happened to be. If Liana was at the coffee shop, I'd casually enter, order, and leave. If she was at the sandwich shop, I'd grab a bite. I even made an effort to be around when she was out shopping. This groundwork persisted for 3 weeks, not every time or every day, but frequently enough for her to take notice. That was the plan. The first meaningful interaction occurred at the coffee shop. As we both queued up at the counter to place our orders, I turned and gave her a subtle nod, pretending to glance past her at something else. She returned the gesture with a smile. I glanced at her once more and initiated the conversation. Hi, I believe we've crossed paths before, but I'm drawing a blank on your name. I'm William Jenkins. I'm Liana Morris. We met at the Delta Zeta mixer last month, she replied. Yes, I recall now. You were with Monica Robinson. Sorry, I'm not the best with names, I admitted. After grabbing our coffee, Liana extended an invitation to join her, to which I hesitated momentarily for effect before accepting and joining her at a patio table. Liana offered me a small smile before questioning. What's going on, William? What do you mean? I feigned innocence. Come on, William. You've practically been shadowing me for the past 3 weeks. Everywhere I go, there you are. Same coffee shop, same diners, even the mall. Don't try to deny it. It's far too frequent to be mere coincidence. You're following me. Why? She pressed. I met her gaze and then confessed, explaining that it was my strategy to capture her attention. Why? She inquired once more. How much should I divulge? At this juncture, honesty seemed like the best policy. Well, perhaps not the complete truth. Liana, I genuinely want to get to know you, take you out, and spend time together. I've noticed how every guy who meets you practically trips over themselves trying to win your attention. They shower you with compliments about your looks, your style, anything to flatter you. They're all aiming for more than just one date, but I don't want to blend into that crowd. So I devised this plan to pique your interest in me, I explained earnestly. Liana seemed taken aback. William, that's probably the most unconventional approach I've ever heard, she replied. Yeah, it's a bit out there, huh? Well, I won't bother you anymore. I apologize if I've come off as creepy. I promise I'm not some kind of psycho, I reassured her. No, I'm not angry. In fact, I'm flattered. No one has ever gone to such lengths just to get to know me. Usually, they ask me out, and if I'm interested, I agree. But they're all the same. They see me as pretty and nothing more. Guys rarely bother to delve into my thoughts, goals, or opinions. But you're different, she admitted, handing me a card with her address. Pick me up at 7 o'clock for dinner. Yes, my lady, I replied with a grin, feeling the sense of accomplishment. Mission accomplished. As I drove to pick up Liana later that evening, I had a serious chat with myself. Okay, I thought, You've made it through the door. Don't blow it by being like all the other guys she's dated and dismissed. Stay focused, no matter how stunning she looks. Engage with her, pay attention, and make her believe you genuinely care about her beliefs, philosophies, and aspirations. To keep her, you have to stand out from the crowd. I pulled up to the apartment building, and to my surprise, Liana swiftly made her way to the truck and hopped in before I could even step out to open her door. We headed to a cozy Italian mom-and-pop restaurant I had discovered, a place far from the usual college hangouts, offering a more intimate ambience. It turned out to be a delightful evening, filled with engaging conversations on various topics. But as the night progressed, something unexpected occurred. According to the plan, I was supposed to feign interest in her interests, but as our time together drew to a close, I realized that my feelings were genuine. This girl, Liana, was extraordinary, at least in my eyes. It was a daunting realization for someone who had been known to play the field. I found myself wanting more from her, not just as another conquest, but because I genuinely liked her. Sitting in the car parked in front of her place, I made a decision to come clean. I wasn't sure how she would react to the unvarnished truth, but if I wanted this to go anywhere, I knew I had to be honest. Liana, there's something I need to tell you, I began, steeling myself for her response. What I said earlier today about not wanting to be just another guy, that was true. But it was also part of a plan I had concocted. However, after spending this evening with you, I've realized that my desire to get to know you and spend time together isn't just a part of the plan. It's the truth. I didn't know it this morning, but now I do. I'm sorry for misleading you. I've discovered that you're much more than just a pretty face, and I genuinely want to spend more time with you. I guess I messed up. Thank you for dinner, and I suppose I'll see you around. I felt utterly defeated. Here was a girl who had genuinely sparked my interest, and yet my manipulative schemes had pushed her away. What a fool I had been. My, oh my, when you start talking, there's no stopping you, Liana remarked, a hint of amusement in her voice. That was quite the speech. But what's even nicer is that I think you genuinely mean it. You've been different tonight, different than I expected. I looked at her, perplexed. What do you mean? I did some digging, she confessed. You have a bit of a reputation in our little community, William. You're known as quite the player, and apparently, you're rather good at it. Most of the girls I spoke to didn't have any complaints, except for the fact that you steer clear of relationships. And I know you ignored me at the mixer on purpose. It was all part of your plan. Oh hell, I muttered, feeling a pang of regret. No one has ever gone to such lengths just to meet me and ask me out, Liana continued, her tone softening. It's incredibly flattering. Let's see where this takes us, but no more games, okay? And so began our time together. Almost every night of the week, we were inseparable. Dinners, movies, college parties. It was a whirlwind. Throughout it all, my feelings for Liana deepened. I couldn't say for certain if it was love, but it was definitely more than just a strong liking. However, the frequency of our outings began to strain my finances. I couldn't afford to keep up with 20 to 25 dates a month. When I declined Liana's invitation for the third time, she wanted to know what was going on. Remember our agreement when we started dating, William? No more bullshit. What's going on? You've turned down 3 dates in the last 10 days. Talk to me, Liana demanded, her tone firm. I'm sorry, Liana. It's a pride thing, I guess. I simply can't afford to take you out as often as we've been going. I'm just an average guy here, and my paycheck isn't exactly hefty. After covering expenses, there isn't much left. It's not that I don't want to see you. I just can't afford lavish outings every night, I explained, feeling somewhat embarrassed by my financial situation. Liana took my hand, offering a reassuring smile. You silly man. Why didn't you say something earlier? We don't need to spend money every time we go out. There are plenty of free or inexpensive activities we can enjoy together. Museums, galleries, walks by the river, and more. We can even have quiet evenings at your place or mine. Just watching TV. You don't need to spend money every time. I guess I was ashamed of not having much money. I admitted. Here's the plan, Liana declared. We'll go out for dinner or a movie twice a week. You pay one time, and I'll pay the next. On the other nights, we'll enjoy the free stuff and simply spend time together. No arguments, that's how it'll be. Unless, and I just thought of this, you actually want a break from me, she teased. No way. I'd spend every night with you if I could. I really want to be with you, I affirmed. And that's how we arranged it. Shortly after, as we strolled by the river one evening, everything seemed to align perfectly. That night, right there on the riverbank, we made love under the stars. It was almost a perfect night, if not for the persistent mosquitoes. We hadn't noticed the bites until we were in the shower together at her place later. That evening marked the first time I spent the entire night at her apartment, but certainly not the last. The following morning, as I reluctantly left Liana in bed to head to work, I encountered an unexpected obstacle. My truck refused to start. Hastily returning to her apartment to call a taxi, Liana inquired about the issue. I explained the situation regarding my truck and my plans to summon a cab. However, she swiftly intervened. No need for that, she declared, tossing me her car keys. You can take my car. It's in the basement garage, space 27. After work, swing by your place to grab some clothes, and then come back here. You can shower and get ready at my place. It's my turn to choose the venue and my treat tonight. I'll see you around 5:30. Now hurry, you'll be late, she urged, planting a kiss on my lips. As I made my way to the basement garage to retrieve her car, I couldn't help but wonder what type of vehicle she owned. I hoped it wouldn't be one of those tiny compact cars, but I supposed beggars couldn't be choosers. To my surprise and utter disbelief, parked in space 27 was a brand new Corvette convertible, just a year old. And to top it off, it was in my favorite color for a Corvette, candy apple red. I briefly entertained the idea that I might have mistaken the car, but the license plate read Glory 1. It was indeed Liana's car. Holy shit. When I arrived at work in the Corvette, Stephen and the rest of the guys were understandably curious. I explained that it belonged to Liana. I'll admit it, you're the master, buddy, Stephen joked. But seriously, how did you manage to get her car? My truck wouldn't start, and she told me to take her car. I had no idea she even owned a car, let alone a Corvette. I replied, still in disbelief. I basked in the envy of my coworkers and walked a little taller that day, knowing I was driving Liana's Corvette. It was an exhilarating feeling, and after work, when I met Liana for dinner, she casually mentioned that I could use her car whenever I wanted since she didn't use it much. Suddenly, I had a Corvette at my disposal. It was a significant upgrade from the dive I had been living in, so I basically moved into Liana's luxurious apartment. We agreed to split the costs of our dates, but it seemed that whenever we dined at fancy and expensive restaurants, it was always Liana's turn to foot the bill. I couldn't figure out how she managed to arrange that. On top of that, she started buying me gifts. I tried to protest, telling her it wasn't necessary, but she insisted that she enjoyed buying things for me. Liana went as far as purchasing 4 or 5 suits for me to wear to the high-class party she was invited to. Each suit cost around $500, a considerable sum. They were undoubtedly stylish garments. During a Sunday afternoon picnic, I finally mustered up the courage to express my discomfort about accepting all the gifts and letting her cover the expenses of our extravagant outings. "Don't you want me to be happy, William?" she countered. "Of course I want you to be happy, Liana," I assured her. "It makes me happy to give you things. I enjoy going to those fancy places, especially with you," she admitted. "Liana, how can you afford all of this?" I asked, genuinely curious. "I'm attending school on a full scholarship, and I have a modest trust fund to cover expenses," she explained. "It's not much, but combined with the scholarship, it's enough to allow me to enjoy myself. Please, William, don't feel uncomfortable. Let me be happy. Her sincerity was evident, and I couldn't help but relent. If I had been a man of principles, I would have declined Liana's gifts, refused to use her car, and found my own place to live instead of enjoying her plush apartment. But two things held me back from acting on those principles. Firstly, I wanted Liana to be happy, and if her happiness involved showering me with gifts, I was willing to accept them. Secondly, I found myself enjoying the pampering. I was thoroughly enjoying my time with Liana. Not only did I get to drive a Corvette, receive lavish gifts, and dine at fancy establishments, but I was doing it all with her. My feelings were evolving from mere liking to something closer to love. She seemed to possess all the qualities I could ever want in a partner. As I contemplated the source of Liana's wealth, her car, the gifts, and the money spent on our dates, I decided to do a little online research to uncover more information. To my surprise, I discovered that Liana wasn't just well off. She was immensely wealthy, with a family fortune stemming from her father and uncle's ownership of the largest stock and pet feed company in the country. According to my findings, the company was worth over $50 million, and Liana was the sole heir to this substantial fortune. My girlfriend was an heiress. Learning about her wealth didn't change my feelings for her. I was already falling in love with her before I knew about the money. If it didn't bother her, it certainly didn't bother me. We continued living together, enjoying each other's company, and indulging in life's luxuries for 8 months. Then, one Saturday morning, my world came crashing down. Having just finished my shower and convinced Liana to get out of bed, we were preparing for a picnic with our friends later in the day, conscious that time was of the essence after staying out late the night before. As I slid into my jeans, the doorbell rang, interrupting our morning routine. The man at the door inquired, "Is Liana at home?" "Yeah, she's in the shower. Can I help you?" I responded. "You must be William," he remarked. "Could you tell her I'm here, please?" "Sure. Who are you?" I asked. "I'm Tristan Brooks, her fiancé," he replied. I invited him inside and offered to inform Liana of his presence. Despite trying to conceal it, I was taken aback. Her fiancé. What on earth? Entering the bathroom, I found Liana just stepping out of the shower. She greeted me with a kiss and suggested we skip the picnic and return to bed. "Liana, there's a guy named Tristan Brooks in the living room. He wants to see you, and he claims to be your fiancé." "What's going on, honey?" I inquired. "Oh, Al," she muttered. "Get dressed and take him to the coffee bar downstairs. I'll call you when I'm ready." "Liana, what the hell? Your fiancé. I think we need to talk," I pressed. "I know, but right now I need to get dressed. I will explain everything to you later," she assured me. Returning to the living room, I relayed Liana's message to Tristan and escorted him to the coffee shop on the main floor. My mind was reeling, unsure of how to react. He looked at me with a sense of understanding. "I know all about you, William, so don't start freaking out," Tristan began. "Liana's dad and I have been aware of her little romance for some time. We thought it was time to put an end to it. Liana and I will get married, but she keeps delaying it. She's been involved with 3 guys, including you, in the last 2 years. If it's any consolation, you've lasted twice as long as anyone else. Why do you put up with that? I mean, she's your fiancé. Don't you care that she lives with other men?" I questioned. "Well, you're the only one she's ever been intimate with or moved in with. She must care a lot about you. That's why we decided to put a stop to your affair," he explained. "Look, William, you seem like a pretty decent guy, so I'll give you a heads up. You can parlay this breakup into a large sum of money. I am authorized to offer you $5,000 to just walk away," Tristan proposed. I couldn't believe it. They were offering me a substantial sum of money to break up with Liana. I stared at the floor for a moment, my mind spinning with uncertainty. What should I do? Before I met Liana, given my past as a player, I would have likely taken the money and run. But the problem was, I was falling in love with her. I'd rather have her, money or no money. My cell phone rang, and it was Liana asking me to send Tristan up to her place. She assured me she'd talk to me afterward, noticing my hesitation and promising it would only take 20 to 30 minutes. Reluctantly, I sent Tristan up to her and waited anxiously, wondering if my life was about to be turned upside down. It was 27 minutes later when Tristan emerged from the elevator and approached me. "I'm leaving, William. Please consider taking the money. You deserve it for what you're going through. Liana wants you to come up now. Good luck, William," he said before departing. I entered the elevator, feeling a mix of emotions. Liana was waiting with the door open when I arrived. She greeted me with a sad smile and a hug, leaving me uncertain about what to do or say. We settled onto the couch, and Liana began to speak. "William, I'm truly sorry. I never meant to mislead you or hurt you. Please believe that," she started. "So, I'm history, is that it, Liana?" I asked, feeling a surge of anger and fear. "You were meant to be just a distraction for me, William, but you somehow found your way into my heart. I may even love you, but we have to end this. I need to fulfill my duty to my family and go home. Please don't hate me. I've genuinely developed feelings for you, but it's time for me to leave," she explained, her voice filled with sadness. I sat there in silence as Liana began to pack her belongings. Then, she handed me an envelope that felt somewhat heavy, adding one final surprise to the mix. "This is the title and keys to the Corvette. I don't want it around. It would only remind me of you. The keys to the apartment are in there also. The lease is paid for another year, so you might as well make use of it. I know you don't want to take either, but please make use of them, and think about me once in a while. Goodbye, William." So here I am, 2 years later, reading the society page about the wedding of the year. Liana Morris and Tristan Brooks were wed at etc. etc. There were several pictures of the happy couple, though Liana didn't appear all that happy. I still have the Corvette, but I no longer live at the apartment we shared. 2 months after Liana left me, I received a letter from Tristan Brooks. Inside was a check for $5,000. I was tempted to cash it for about 0 seconds, but the check was sent back. Across the front, I had written, "Send Liana. Keep your damn money." Liana did her duty as she saw it. I hope she can find some happiness because I sure haven't been able to. The return address on the letter jolted me back in time, bearing the name Liana Brooks, St. Louis, Mo. It had been 4 years since I last heard from her. What could she possibly want now? Hadn't she played enough games with me in the past? 4 years ago, Liana and I had a short-lived thing. I was 24, working in the college town where she was a student, and we met through a mutual friend. I concocted an elaborate plan to win her over, but she saw through it from the start. That's how our relationship began, but it ended abruptly after 8 months when Liana's fiancé showed up at our apartment. I'm William Jenkins, now 28. When Liana and I met, I was a bit of a ladies' man, but she changed all that. Once I met her, no other woman could capture my interest. Liana, heiress to the largest stock and pet food company in the country, didn't draw me in because of her wealth. I only learned about her financial status near the end of our relationship. I believed we were deeply in love and would be together for a long time. However, that illusion shattered when her fiancé, Tristan Brooks, appeared at our doorstep. He revealed that Liana had a history of such affairs, and our relationship came to a screeching halt. After Liana left me, she expressed that she cared for me, maybe even loved me, but she had obligations to fulfill with this Brooks guy. Looking back, it seems like I was just a temporary distraction for her, a boy toy to pass the time. Her fiancé confirmed that I was just one of several guys she had been involved with. Despite the hurt, she left me with parting gifts: expensive suits, a luxury apartment lease, a Corvette, and more, but none of those compared to having Liana herself. 2 years later, seeing the story and pictures of her wedding in the society pages still stung. I hadn't completely moved on from her by then. Her departure left me withdrawn. I went through the motions of eating, sleeping and working without much joy. The days blurred together, and I rarely went out except for the occasional visit to a coffee bar. Around 3 months after Liana left, I unexpectedly crossed paths with Monica Robinson, a familiar face from the past. Stephen, my coworker, had introduced us before, and Monica was aware of my history with Liana. I hadn't intended to engage with Monica beyond a nod, feeling guilty for using her as a means to get closer to Liana. "Hey William, how are you?" Monica's unexpected greeting caught me off guard. "I haven't seen you around lately. Don't you like us anymore?" "Hello Monica. I guess I don't frequent the same places as before," I replied. "Just because Liana is gone doesn't mean you can't join us at the parties anymore. Stephen and I, along with others, miss having you around," Monica insisted. "To be honest, I haven't felt up to it. I'm still reeling from Liana's departure, and I feel remorseful about how I used you, Monica," I confessed, feeling a weight lift off my chest even as I spoke. Monica flashed a reassuring smile. "Don't fret about it. I understood why you wanted Stephen to introduce us. Your gaze kept drifting toward Liana, so I figured out who you were interested in." She chuckled at my surprised expression. "Come on, you can buy the coffee and fill me in on what happened." After grabbing our coffee, Monica linked her arm with mine and guided me to a secluded booth. Over the next hour, we delved into the intricacies of my relationship with Liana. Somewhere amidst our conversation, I felt a glimmer of hope stirring within me. Perhaps there was life beyond Liana after all. As Monica prepared to depart for her dorm, she offered some parting words of wisdom. "I believe Liana made a mistake in leaving you, William. It's time for you to reclaim your life and move forward. Give me a call sometime." With that, she bid me farewell and left, leaving me with a newfound sense of optimism. She was right. I had been wallowing in self-pity like a child who lost his favorite toy. It was time to mature, pull myself together, and move forward with my life. A few days later, I called Monica, and we decided to grab pizza and beer. It turned out to be a thoroughly enjoyable evening. As we spent more time together, our relationship transitioned from mere friendship to something deeper, though I couldn't quite pinpoint when it happened. Despite our growing closeness, I was still living in Liana's apartment, with the lease set to expire in 3 months. It dawned on me, with Monica's gentle nudges, that if I wanted to truly move on, I needed to find a place of my own. Monica had subtly hinted that she wasn't comfortable visiting my current residence, which was a clear indication of its association with my past. So, I rented an apartment above an elderly lady's garage, where I could start afresh. Monica generously helped me make the place feel like home. Additionally, I decided to let go of the Corvette and opted for a Mustang, symbolically shedding the baggage of my past. Over the next 9 months, Monica and I continued to see each other leading up to her graduation. Our relationship was built on quality time rather than mere physical intimacy. However, despite our bond, I found it difficult to fully commit to Monica, still haunted by memories of Liana. It all came to a head the night after Monica's graduation. "William, I've been waiting for you to move on from Liana. I hoped you would, but it's clear you're still hung up on her," Monica began, cutting off my attempts to interject. "Don't deny it. You're holding back, and we both know why." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "I've accepted a job in San Antonio and I'm moving there next week." "But I thought you were planning to work and live in St. Louis," I countered. "We could have seen each other on weekends." "I was considering that, but I can't continue like this. You're still fixated on Liana half the time, and I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick in our relationship. I won't keep going on like this. If you ever move on from Liana, come find me," Monica said firmly before leaving the next week without a chance for a proper goodbye. They say you don't realize what you've lost until it's gone, and that proved true for me. It didn't take long for me to realize how much I cared for Monica. I wasn't sure if I was ready to love her, but I definitely missed her. 3 weeks after Monica left, I penned a letter to her expressing my feelings and letting her know I missed her dearly. Instead of a written response, I received a phone call from her, which felt even more meaningful. From then on, we spoke on the phone a few times a month and exchanged letters occasionally. I suggested visiting her several times, but Monica's response remained consistent. Have you moved on from Liana yet? Until you can honestly say yes, there's no point in us seeing each other. Our calls continued for about 2 months, but I began noticing a shift. More often than not, I would reach her voicemail and have to leave a message. When she returned my calls, I refrained from mentioning her increased absence in the evenings. I didn't feel entitled to question her. This pattern persisted for another month. Then one Friday night, feeling somewhat desperate to hear her voice, I called Monica a little late, around 11:30. I hoped to catch her rather than her answering machine. Unfortunately, I got her voicemail again. The next morning at 7 o'clock, I called again, almost feeling like a stalker by then. To my surprise, a man answered the phone. Is Monica there? I stuttered, thrown off guard by a man answering her phone. Who was this guy? Yeah, but she's still sleeping. If it's important, I can wake her up or take a message, he offered, his tone friendly yet irritatingly helpful. No real message, just tell her William called, and I won't bother her again, I replied curtly, my frustration mounting. Are you sure, William? I can wake her up if you want. She needs to get up anyway. We have to shower and get dressed, because I have a plane to catch, he persisted, sounding genuinely considerate. No, it's not necessary. I doubt it would make a difference anyway. Thanks and goodbye. I snapped before hanging up. Smooth move, idiot. You should have just asked him to pass along the message. I foolishly expected Monica to call me back right away after my little outburst, but 2 weeks passed with no word from her. I had to face the truth. We were done. Just great. Absolutely great. First, Liana leaves me high and dry, and now I've lost Monica too. I know it's my own fault with Monica, but that doesn't make it hurt any less. 3 weeks to the day after my last message to Monica, she called. It was 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I was still in bed nursing a hangover from the previous night's attempt to relive my college drinking days. My head was pounding when I answered the phone. What? I barked into the receiver. Well, aren't we a ray of sunshine this morning? Monica chuckled. Are you okay, William? Monica, is that you? Why are you calling me? I asked, still groggy. You don't have to bite my head off, you know. I haven't heard from you in over 2 weeks, and I wanted to make sure everything was okay, she explained. Oh hell, I'm sorry. I guess I'm hungover. No, wait, I know I'm hungover. My head is pounding, and my mouth tastes like old sweat socks, I admitted. It's okay. Now, why haven't you called? Monica inquired. I did, about 2 weeks ago, early on a Saturday morning. Your boyfriend answered the phone. I left a message for you, I replied. I never got a message and I... Wait, my boyfriend. What do you mean, my boyfriend? Monica sounded puzzled. When was this again? It must have been on the 13th. The guy said you were still asleep, but he could wake you up. And he had to take a shower and get him to the airport. I told him to tell you I had called. I recounted, omitting my little temper tantrum. I'm so sorry, William. I never got the message. That wasn't my boyfriend. That was my stupid brother, Kevin. He's been staying with me for the last month. Wait until I get hold of him. I'll teach him not to give me messages, Monica apologized. Your brother. My mood lifted. Yeah, Kevin was staying with me while he worked on a project here. He finished his work and went back home. Okay, dummy, I thought to myself, now is the time to tell her how you feel. Enough of this friendship bullshit. You have nothing to lose but some phone calls that make you feel worse than you did before anyway. I had made a decision. Monica, I need to talk to you about something important. Do you have some time right now? I asked. Sounds serious. Sure, I have all day. Go ahead, she replied. So I spilled my guts. I told her that I didn't know how much I cared for her until she left. I told her that I had my head on straight like she said. I told her that I could truthfully say that I didn't love Liana. Finally, I said, Monica, remember you telling me that you couldn't go on the way we were? Well, that's where I'm at. I can't go on like this. If you don't want to be more than friends, then let's stop the torture. At least it's torture to me. So, what do you think? Monica was quiet for a moment, and then said, I think you should come to San Antonio next weekend. I don't want to wait. I'm on my way. See you soon. I called my boss and arranged for some time off. I made the 2-hour drive to St. Louis and jumped a plane for San Antonio. Monica met me at the airport. How did you know what flight I was on? I was surprised to see her at the airport. A little research online. There are several flights from St. Louis, but this was the first one. I was going to meet each plane until you showed up, Monica informed me. The next month was wonderful. I spent weekends at Monica's place, or she at mine. I found that I had moved on and was ready to commit fully to Monica. My company had a division in a suburb of San Antonio, and I was able to transfer there. I moved in with Monica, and life was good. There was some adjustment, but the transition went smoothly. Monica and I were married and started our new life together. We had only been married a short time when I saw pictures of Liana's wedding. That was the only hint of a problem in our marriage, and that was mostly in my mind. I didn't know if I should mention the story to Monica or keep quiet about it. If I said something, would she think I still had feelings for Liana? And if I said nothing, would she think I was trying to hide feelings for Liana? I put down the Sunday paper and looked at Monica, who was making breakfast. Maybe I should diffuse the situation and not let it develop into a problem. Hey babe, here's a story about Liana's wedding. I guess Tristan Brooks finally got her to tie the knot. About time he reined her in. Monica looked at me with a little smile and said, I know. I opened the paper to that story and left it for you. She almost laughed at the surprised look on my face. I wanted to see how you handled it. You passed with flying colors, by the way. Liana and our relationship were never mentioned again. That is until I received that letter 4 years after she dumped me. As I said before, what does the woman want? I opened the letter to see why she was writing to me, especially after all this time. The letter was in Liana's handwriting and read, Dear William, it's been a while, and I understand if you're wondering why I'm reaching out after all this time. The truth is, I couldn't resist the urge any longer. Despite resisting the temptation for years, I finally had to reach out to you. When I left you, it was because I felt I had no choice. My father issued an ultimatum through Tristan. If I didn't return home, he would cut off financial support. I was too attached to my lifestyle to give up the money. Although I postponed the marriage for 2 years, I eventually decided to go through with it. Marriage hasn't changed anything. I still live life on my terms. I just have to be more cautious and discreet. Tristan is my husband in name only, but he's content with the arrangement. Being married to me ensures him a life of leisure, and he has his own discreet affairs. But my dilemma is that I've never stopped thinking about you, William. I told you when I left that I cared deeply for you, and that hasn't changed. If anything, time has only deepened my regret over my decision that day. I should have convinced you to move to St. Louis with me. We could have continued seeing each other discreetly. I'll be in San Antonio next month for a week, and thought it might be nice to catch up over lunch or dinner, maybe even take a ride in the Corvette together. What do you think? Please let me know your decision before the 21st of next month. If we're going to meet, I'll need to adjust my schedule accordingly. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Love, Liana. I was taken aback, seething with anger. After all this time, she had the audacity to reach out to me again. It confirmed what I suspected 4 years ago. She was a deceitful person who got caught by her father. There was no way I was going to entertain her request. The real question was whether I should inform Monica about it. That evening, Monica arrived home about an hour later than usual. We sat on our deck after dinner, and I handed Liana's letter to her without a word. "What's this?" Monica asked, puzzled. "Check the return address and then read the letter," I replied. As Monica glanced at the return address and started reading, her expression shifted from confusion to anger. Her face turned red with fury, signaling that she was about to unleash her wrath. She finished reading and shot me a piercing look. She was livid. "Just a moment," I interjected firmly before she could explode. "Now, read this letter." The letter read, "Dear Liana, it was truly delightful to receive your message after all these years. Regrettably, I sold the Corvette about 6 months following your departure. Nonetheless, it would be wonderful to reconnect in person. My wife, Monica, and I would be thrilled to join you for dinner and some drinks. Once you're in town, simply give us a ring and we'll coordinate our meeting. Our contact number is provided below. We appreciate you reaching out and eagerly anticipate catching up soon. Farewell for now. Your friends, William and Monica." As Monica finished reading my letter, her face remained flushed, but this time from uncontrollable laughter. Eventually, her laughter subsided, and she leaned in to kiss me. "That's a clever way to tell her off. Quite cunning, my love. I'm proud of you, but you did make a tiny mistake," she teased. "What might that be?" I asked, thinking my approach was flawless. "I was late getting home because I had a doctor's appointment tonight," she revealed, waiting for my reaction. "So, if we were to meet her, I wouldn't be indulging in any drinks with you guys. Not that we're planning to meet her, but why no drinking for you?" I inquired. "Pregnant women should avoid alcohol. It's not good for the baby," she explained. The rest of the evening was filled with cuddles, discussions about converting a bedroom into a nursery, and brainstorming baby names. Strangely, we never received that anticipated phone call from Liana. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.